The Fire Within podcast. You need a sustainable plan, the right mindset, and the knowledge and inspiration to stoke the fire within. Just like the phoenix, you can burn your old habits, never turn back, and emerge completely anew. There are no shortcuts.
Welcome, Fire Within Nation. This is the Fire Within podcast, where we talk about all things health, fitness, and nutrition related. I'm your host, Brandon, with my co-host, Joe.
Hello.
Yo, Joe.
How's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
Doing all right.
So we'd hinted at talking about pumpkin spice last time, just as a joke.
Yes.
And then I got
time of year where we pumpkin everything.
And I got approached by somebody who came to one of my workshops years ago, who's a mom.
Yeah.
And her babies had a rare condition called F-pies, like the letter F and then pies. It's a big, long acronym. And essentially, it's specific foods create really awful allergic reactions where they're puking, vomiting, and diarrheaing like for 24-hour periods and need to go to the urgent care or the hospital. What they found out is that one of the things that's okay for them to eat that doesn't cause this reaction is pumpkin.
So it's the magic gourd.
It's the magic gourd in the squash family. And what she's doing is really cool. She's creating a kid's YouTube channel. It's not live yet, but when it is, we'll plug it and get a link out. But she's going through to try and educate kids on really healthy stuff that they don't teach in school and all the nutritive benefits. And so she really wanted to highlight pumpkin for this video. So we went to Josh Manning's farm.
Right. Yeah. I do another podcast with Josh. He's an interesting character. His family owns one of the largest pumpkin farms in the state, and they supply like the organic squash and stuff to Whole Foods. Like, it's a pretty big operation. But his family drives a couple semis up, and Josh just opens up the field. They also have Christmas trees. But that's like his big fall thing. He goes out there and sells pumpkins at the pumpkin lot.
Yeah, and it was a legit pumpkin patch. We had a good time out there.
This is bad. This is Confessions with Joe. I often stop after we get done working out at the cigar place across the street. It's on the way back from your house. And I go smoke a cigar with Josh after we work out.
That's perfect. But he was really accommodating. Even took some thumbnail pics for us for her to put on the website, which was really nice. Drove his BMW motorcycle out.
Yeah, and you guys did like a video thing, right?
Yeah, just a little 20-second montage thing. For the record, I think the Royal Enfield looks cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a nice motorcycle, dude.
What is the big takeaway from the food value of pumpkins? Because I was thinking about this. I knew we were going to do a pumpkin-based episode. And it's almost like the pumpkin would be the worst fruit to be, because some fruit probably sit around thinking, like, or vegetables, I get eaten, this is great, and I provide nutrition. I know they probably don't think that. They don't think. But a pumpkin just literally, by most people, once a year gets gutted by children. Their guts thrown away and then carved up. And then we put fire inside of them.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's a terrible existence as a pumpkin.
The obvious, it's like just Dune. It's the spice, man. We're after the pumpkin spice.
Oh, yeah. It is. We are just after the spice.
No, so it's got a lot of really good properties. Some of the things, and not just pumpkins, but other things in that kind of squash family are higher in, include beta carotene, which is good for eyesight and all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah, because it's orange, so like carrots.
Exactly. Super high in vitamins A and C. They're also good for injury healing and things like that. So your orange, yellowish color vegetables are going to have tons of that. But just a serving of pumpkin is 2.5 times your daily intake of vitamin A, which helps eyesight as well. So pretty cool stuff.
I never made that connection before, but yeah, when you're younger, people always make the big deal about carrots, that they're great for your eyes. And you learn that it has something to do with the orange beta carotene stuff. And so there's not a lot of other orange vegetables, are there?
There's oranges.
Yeah.
That's a fruit, though. Maybe parsnips, which is another type of carrot. I think you're right. At least off the top of my head.
How do you cook? How do you prepare a pumpkin in a way that's not in a latte?
Well, you do 2 eyes, a nose, and then the dragged mouth.
That's right. Yes.
That's right. So it depends on what kind of pumpkin. First of all, you got the seeds.
Yeah. I love pumpkin seeds.
Yeah. And it is a good idea to cook them because of E. coli and all kinds of other nonsense.
Right. Yeah, we always will clean out the seeds and then put them out on a piece of a baking sheet.
You can do all kinds of seasonings. So you don't have to just dry roast them. If you want to do cinnamon, that's kind of good. You could do garlic and herb, all kinds of stuff.
That health benefit, is that similar across the entire gourd family?
Similar, yes. Of course, they're all going to vary a little bit. And remember, every color is a different nutrient. So as like a butternut squash is going to be more of that beigey orange color versus an acorn squash is going to be dark green with a little bit of orange. And then you got spaghetti squash, which is yellow. So they're going to have differing amounts of different nutrients.
That's the one I'm most familiar with eating, the spaghetti squash.
Oh, that one's so fun. So when you bake it, it comes out like spaghetti noodles when you scrape the flesh with a fork. I mean, I actually have used it as a replacement, a healthier replacement for spaghetti.
Yeah, we've done that before. Just cook up the spaghetti squash and then just basically add tomato sauce.
Yeah, or meat sauce, or you could even do like a garlic and herb. That's delicious.
You have a recipe, though, that I made once and really enjoyed on the Fire Within recipe thing about how to basically slice open an acorn squash and fill it with some delightful things.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, so you can check that out on the recipe. I think it's served with the Bison burger, but you can serve anything you want with it except cotton candy. But basically, what I love about acorn squash is when you heat it up, all the natural starches kind of come out as a sweetness. And it is so sweet and delicious. It's really good with cinnamon and brown sugar if you're being a little naughty, or you can just do olive oil. But roasting in the oven acorn squash is one of my absolute favorite ways to do a squash or pumpkin type recipe.
It'd be really difficult to incorporate pumpkin into your diet regularly because it's not around.
Yeah.
When it's not fall.
Now, unless your body does okay with oatmeal, which I usually steer away from wheat grain, corn, and oats, but a lot of people like to add pumpkin to oat. You can add it to smoothies, and you can make a pumpkin spice smoothie.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, so that's a good way. You can just get the canned flesh of pumpkin.
That's pretty much the only way you can get it throughout the year. It's just in the can.
Yeah, when it's not seasonal, that's pretty much it.
It's one of those things that I feel like it's an October thing, much like turkey is a November thing. Nobody's just going out and making a turkey in April.
Yeah, and actually it's good to eat things seasonally and rotate them. And whenever they're harvested at peak ripeness, that should be the time where we go after those foods. And rotating through different vegetables and fruits is really good for your microbiome health.
Yeah.
And if you're new to the show, microbiome refers to the microbes that inhabit our gut. Remember, we're more bacteria than we are human being. And the balance of good microbes to bad microbes have a lot to do with immune function and health and weight loss and what we crave even. Because these are living things, organisms, and if they're trying to survive and you have more of, let's say, a candida and sugar-loving bacteria, you're going to crave those foods more. So it is important to think about that balance, and getting as much variety as possible is really important.
Do you know much about pumpkin seed oil?
Actually, I know absolutely nothing about pumpkin seed oil.
I'll talk about that. I just looked it up. Apparently, it's good for your prostate.
Oh, that's good. Butt cancer is not a joke, guys. If it's good for your prostate, it's good for me.
Yeah, they basically, I don't know anything about, we'll cut all this out because it's not, like it could be just made up. But there's like pumpkin seed oil things that look like fish oil tablets.
Ah, that's interesting.
Could be total marketing.
Could be. Now, one of my favorite types of squash/pumpkin is a butternut squash, aside from looking comical.
You get those pretty much year round. Like those will show up in the grocery store.
Yeah. A lot of people like to dice them up into cubes. You could saute them and roast them. They're really good. But my absolute favorite thing to do with them is once it's baked, you can blend it and turn it into this wonderful butternut squash soup that you can add coconut cream to. Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah, cinnamon and nutmeg. And if you really want to go the extra mile, if you're going to do bread, which I usually steer people away from bread, sourdough's a little bit better because it's fermented and it's not going to have as much of a problematic protein called lectins. But you can make a cinnamon crouton with that. And then you add that on top of that butternut squash soup with sage. And it's just like mind blown. So good.
Yeah, there's a really simple way to prepare soup. If you happen to own a Vitamix, I have one of those like smoothies. I haven't made butternut squash, but I will definitely put that in the rotation. But I've made carrot soup before.
Oh, yeah.
Which is basically you just buy a clump of carrots and stick it in there and the blender cuts it up and then purees it. And then you just leave it in there long enough that the blender actually cooks it. Like you basically leave it in there for 8 minutes.
Yeah, because it's at such a high velocity.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, Vitamixes are amazing. Their only rival would probably be a Blendtec, but I actually prefer the Vitamix. I think they have a model that's what, $2.99?
I think that sounds about right. Yes, and we've bought replacement parts because they last forever, and like the parts will break first, and so there's just a ton of Amazon. You can buy the stuff that you need to replace the broken thing.
I think it's the top-rated blender.
Yeah.
Blendtec's the only thing that's close. But yeah, Vitamixes are wonderful. They have cook features. It has a clean feature, which is cool. But I have a $20 like Hamilton Beach one, and that does pretty good too, but it won't cook my food.
I wonder if you could make your own hummus with the Vitamix.
Oh, absolutely. You can make bread, all kinds of stuff. I had a friend that had one, and he would only make one recipe, and it was cranberry walnut bread. He made it every week. It's the only thing he bought the blender for. But you could do all kinds of stuff.
They do a great job with smoothies. You just basically throw whatever fruits and veggies you got in your fridge in there and just, that's it. Throw a scoop of whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've been doing, for our protein stuff, we were using a brand called Orgain, but it had some stuff in it that wasn't the best.
Rice protein.
Yeah, and then Vega had all their stuff for like half off. So we bought 3 or 4 big tubs of Vega.
Yeah.
And it was like a lot cheaper. And that stuff lasts for a long time. And so we've been doing that. And Vega's coconut stuff, so good.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, because it just adds a whole new flavor in with whatever. And I'm not a fan of vanilla myself, but the coconut one is great. You just throw all your fruits and veggies in, put the scoop of the pumpkin.
Protein.
It's fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's Brendan Brager's line. If he wants to give me some sponsorship, that'd be great.
I moved away from adding any kind of almond milk or whatever to it. I just switched to water.
Okay. You're cool with it?
Yeah.
Tastes pretty good?
Yeah, I think the almond milk made it taste more almondy. It almost had like a chewy quality to it. And I don't really drink protein shakes for enjoyment. I drink it for its nutritional value. And if you use water, like you can chug it basically.
Yeah.
Whereas it feels like you got to really take your time with any kind of milk or juice or something.
Yeah, I bet you can make a pretty solid pumpkin pie smoothie, like with a banana, some pumpkin puree.
That would be good.
Cinnamon, cloves, stuff like that, nutmeg. Yeah, I think that'd be awesome.
Have you ever felt like you were just throwing weights around like an idiot at the gym, hoping to see some results? Or after weeks or months of working out, notice that the scale just isn't moving? You wouldn't cook without a recipe. So why would you train or start a weight loss program like the Swedish chef randomly throwing ingredients into a pot? You need a sustainable plan that's science-based and attainable. Fire Within has worked with thousands of clients and helped them reach their goals. So visit firewithinnf.com today. Get yourself the free ebook, read the testimonials, and choose a service that works for you. Choose from services like one-on-one nutrition coaching, one-on-one personal training, and more. Again, that's firewithinnf.com.
And then another type of pumpkin/squash would be a Delicato. And they're these kind of cylindrical looking things with long lines across it. Kind of looks like a cucumber, but a little bit bigger. And what's kind of cool about those is if you roast them on the grill, you just leave the skin on. You don't have to really prep it. And then you just slice it like into little crescent C's. But they're pretty good.
I looked it up because I was curious. On the Vitamix website, there is a pumpkin smoothie recipe. And it looks like they've sweetened it. And this is a great idea. So you put in your pumpkin, and then you put in a cup of dates that are pitted.
Ah, okay.
And then you put in a tablespoon and a third of pumpkin pie spice, and then 4 cups of ice. You've got it.
There you are.
Got your smoothie.
And what's a typical pumpkin spice mix? Like nutmeg, cinnamon, and clove?
I'm looking it up. Pumpkin spice. Here's how to make pumpkin spice. Cinnamon sticks,
Ground ginger.
ground nutmeg, allspice berries, and whole cloves.
All right, I was 2 off. I missed the allspice berries and the, what was the other one I missed?
Cloves.
Cloves. Yeah.
Ground ginger. You wouldn't
Oh,
think
ground ginger too. And redheads. I like it all.
nothing wrong with that.
But I love my wife the most. She's a brunette, I hope.
You hope she's a brunette?
My grandma, when we first started dating, she used to ask me what color her eyes are, and I had no clue. And apparently that was like a big deal. So
You're supposed to know that stuff.
yeah, I'm supposed to know that stuff.
Vitamix is, in fact, for the low-end model, $269. Currently on sale, $400 normally on Amazon.
And that one may or may not cook your soup. I don't know.
Then the Reels one is $600. The Professional Series, $750.
And then you have to buy the punk stick, a separate lace.
Yes.
So
So that's what broke with us. We had to buy a new one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the punk stick is you can jab it down the middle. So you know how like most blenders, like the bottom will blend, but the top won't? Vitamix solved it. They have a hole in the top and they have a stick they call a punk stick. You're going to meet punk. And you just jab it in and you can get everything to mix smoothly.
Yeah, the kids also like making ice cream in the Vitamix.
Oh, fancy.
I don't think it's actual ice cream, but I think if you just don't put enough of certain ingredients in and let it run for too long, it makes it get the consistency of ice cream.
Enough ice. I used to make ice cream in a bag. So I put like the cream, the sugar, and the vanilla extract. And then I would put a Ziploc bag of that mixture inside of a larger Ziploc bag with ice cubes and ice cream salt. And you just shake it until it freezes. And it was delicious. Absolutely delightful. I won a science fair competition with that. Because of the chemical change happening and the decrease in temperature, I got to pass it as science. But really, I just wanted ice cream. It's like a 4-H thing. Hey, Joe, do you ever look up a recipe online and you get 30-minute spiel about the life story of it? Let's say it's like a chili recipe and they're like, back in 1920.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
My great-grandfather lost a finger. And
Yes. Like the way every contestant on that Millionaire show would always answer a question.
Jiminy Christmas. And like, all you want is the ingredients in the freaking recipe. And then they're like, and then in 1964 at a Thanksgiving gathering,
Yeah.
like, just give me the recipe.
It's really popular on those blog style things.
Oh my God, it makes me so angry. Why don't we just jump to a recipe using Acorn Squash and we're just going to give it to them. No backstory.
Yeah. And it's available on firewithinnf.com. You can go to the recipes portion of that site.
That's my website.
That is your website. And the recipe is German bison burgers with asparagus and roasted acorn squash.
Acorn Squash.
All right, so Brandon, you've made this dish a bunch of times. You're making it for 2-3 people. How much money does something like this cost?
By the time you buy the meat, the burger, the asparagus, and if you even include the oils and stuff, you're probably looking at, I don't know, $15. I do a lot of shopping at Aldi, and their grass-fed beef, if you don't want to do bison, some people are a little area of bison, is around $5.99. If you want the actual bison, which I actually like the flavor better, you go to Harris Teeter, you're probably looking at $9.99 a pound, which would give you 4 burgers worth. Asparagus, probably $3 or $4. And then for the acorn squash, probably $2 or $3 for that.
So what's it look like on the plate when you finally get it all done?
I don't usually use buns, just as a general practice, unless it's on sourdough. So I just have a kind of an open German burger or bison burger, and I put stone ground mustard on top, the whole seed. I really like the whole seed. And then I put the sauerkraut on top of that. And the sauerkraut, of course, is fermented. It's good for your microbiome. It's going to help with probiotics and things like that. So I got the burger, I got the mustard, I got the sauerkraut, and then on the side, I've got the asparagus as a side. And then we also have that lovely, delicious for the carbohydrate. We have that acorn squash. And I slice it in half and take the seeds out and roast in the oven open face. You could just rub it with olive oil and bake it. Or if you want to get a little bit fancier, if you want a sweeter taste, you can add a little bit of cinnamon and brown sugar or honey. But honestly, it's so sweet on its own. When you bake it, it probably doesn't even need that. And it just comes apart. Like even the shell turns soft when you bake it.
Do you eat the whole shell like it's a bread bowl from Panera?
I typically don't eat the shell, but you could. It wouldn't hurt you. Especially if it's organic and hasn't been sprayed with glyphosate, Roundup, and all that nonsense.
So the ingredients are, we got an acorn squash, olive oil, sea salt, pepper, a half cup to 1 cup of asparagus, 4 to 8 ounces of ground bison, cayenne, red pepper flakes, garlic powder, spicy brown mustard, and sauerkraut pickled.
Have you ever heard Weird Al's song called Albuquerque? And there's this whole big line about his mother always feeding him a big bowl of sauerkraut every single morning. Because it's good for you. Anyway, check it out. It's just a scream. So we talked about all kinds of stuff with pumpkin and squash and just trying to highlight some additional ways to switch up your diet, get some different nutrients and vegetables in. So hopefully you learned something. Don't forget, spaghetti squash is a good alternative for pasta if you want to use that. Kids think it's fun as well. You can also zoodle pumpkin and make hair for your pumpkin, which is at Halloween when you're doing your jack-o'-lantern. So take a different pumpkin, you can put it through a zoodler, spiralize it, and that makes really fun curly hair for it. But hopefully you guys learned something. Maybe somebody out there has a baby struggling with some crazy allergies. It's like F-pies, and pumpkin could be a really good food for them. There's lots of good baby foods with pureed pumpkin. I really like a brand called Seren for that kind of stuff, so you guys can check that out. But try some of that. Go to the website. Check out the recipe for the German bison burgers with the acorn squash, just for something different. See what you think.
Yeah.
Let us know. And now, in the most artistic fashion possible, we're going to leave you with the preparation instructions for the German bison burger, acorn squash, asparagus meal. Take it away, Joe.
Acorn squash, cut in half. Scoop out the insides and drizzle olive oil, sea salt and pepper on the open sides, and set on a baking pan and place in the oven at 400 degrees for 40 minutes.
It's just that easy, baby.
Asparagus, saute in olive oil on the stove.
Heat it up.
Be sure to chop off a few inches of the end
Might be.
where it's no longer too tough to eat.
Do we need an explicit rating on this?
Yes, it sounds like a brisk gone terribly wrong. Add sea salt and pepper and red pepper flakes to taste.
Spicy.
German bison burgers. Split up ground bison into burger patties on the stovetop and season to your liking.
Where's the meat?
I like sea salt, pepper, cayenne, red peppers, and garlic powder. When done, apply a spicy brown mustard and cover with the sauerkraut. Bon appetit.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in today. I hope you got a lot of value out of today's episode. If you did, go check us out at firewithinnf.com. You can subscribe to our newsletters and make sure you never miss an episode or any other content. Also, be sure to follow us on social media.